Welcome back. To flesh out some of these conversations, of course, is a professor of political science and strategic studies. He's also the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academics, Dennis Osadebe University, Asaba, Delta State. Professor Robert Dode, welcome once again to Political Spectrum on Spectrum Television.
Thank you. Good morning. I think my story began from University of Uyo, where I spent well over 20 years cutting my teeth as a boarding lecturer, from assistant lecturer to professor. So I always insist that people don't forget about my past, so that my today is appreciated, hoping that God is taking me to higher levels by tomorrow. So I cut my teeth at University of Uyo, where I was both a student, staff, and rose up to the rank of a professor. University of Uyo pronounced me as a professor, actually. Currently, Dennis Osadebe University is reaping from the fruits of University of Uyo's crops and seeds in the year. Thank you.
Okay. Of course, it's always a pleasure to have you. It's been a while, really. But since we last met, quite a number of things have happened across the political spectrum in Nigeria. And this is about 1 year into the ministerial appointment of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's cabinet. And seems as if rumors are making around that perhaps Mr. President is considering making a reshuffle, particularly when you look at the performances of members of the cabinet or key ministries, for instance. We're having a conversation, and one of the things that is striking out, particularly from the stories that we had, we have security as front burner. We have defense and quite a number of other issues bedeviling the country. Let's start our conversation with security, particularly with regards to the prosecution of protesters who embarked on that 10-day protest, complaining about hardship and hunger in the land. But they seem to be facing the judiciary today, and 9 of them have been remanded at Kuje prison, while the only female amongst them, is at Suleja. What's your reaction to all of this?
My reaction to all of this is that the Nigerian state has not been in a stable form for some time now. Not necessarily just 1 year ago, but we know for almost a decade now. Nigerian state has been in what we refer to as a perpetual state of wobble. You know, when you find a ship on an ocean, well, some will refer to them as ocean liners. You see, and because of the nature of the waves and the sea, the ship remains unstable. That's what we mean by a perpetual state of wobbling. So in the Nigerian case, it is the case of periodic, not just periodic, but seasonal and geographical wobbling. By the time you think we're having some respite in northeast, north central begins to boil. When you think that we're taking control of north central, you are now already in south-south, southwest, southeast. So it's a pitiable state, and security is a paramount element when you want to talk about development. It was the unsecured state of the 17th century Great Britain that made authors like Thomas Hobbes to come up with this concept of the Leviathan, because in his time the state of insecurity was unprecedented. That he even said in the Britain of his time, life was characterized by 5 major factors. Life was solitary, nasty, brutish, short and poor. I repeat it. When life is solitary, nasty, brutish, short and poor.
That describes a failed state or a non-state even.
Yeah, I'm coming there. So if this happened in 17th century Great Britain, and we are in 2024, and we are almost at that level in an independent state, nation called Nigeria, that tells you that we are almost five centuries behind.
Ooh.
5. It's pitiable. So it's not something.
That's a tough criticism of our development process.
No, it's not criticism. It's a fact. It's a fact. It is a fact that is verifiable. That's the difference between us who are specialists and those who are just usurpers in this system, and they have their way more than even some of us who should be listened to. It's a serious matter. It's a very, very serious matter. That means we are almost still at the locomotive stage of development. Locomotive. In fact, we have not even completed the locomotive stage of development. Hence, you juxtapose this reality with what is happening. And if you are a true student of history, you will understand that we are at a very dangerous stage of development. Now bring it back to the issue of not just arresting but slamming so-called protesters with the highest criminal act of the land, treasonable felony, for goodness sake. Are we not using a sledgehammer on an ant? Are you trying to beat a child and equally attempting to muzzle the child's mouth from crying, even if the mouth doesn't cry? Will you stop the tears from dropping from the eyes? Nigerians are passing through some of the horrifying stages of life since I was born. I'm telling you. I was a boy in the military era when there was what they refer to as the essential commodities. You were not born then. I'm quite sure you were not born. That was in the Buhari regime of 1983 to 1985.
I actually was born then, Professor.
Okay, but you may not have gone to Q. You may not have gone to Q.
No, Professor. I had people who would do that for me.
Okay. When I was a boy at Port Harcourt then, we needed to go and queue to buy essential commodities from Bosins along Aba Road. Those who are at Port Harcourt will understand the place I'm talking about. And, that was when you needed to go and queue to buy sugar, to buy salt, to even buy rice. And you have to be in a long queue. But it was not still this bad because then it was affordable, but probably a little bit scarce. Now, even if a material is available, not scarce, the question is it affordable? People are hungry. You can see different levels of begging in the streets, in occasion grounds, even in corporate establishments. You can't believe it. Some people will be so properly dressed that by the time they approach you, you think they're coming to tell you about a business that they want to introduce, and only to hear that they just need money to eat the next meal. In our days, we used to talk about 001. Those were when we were students, indigent students.
Even when you go to refuge dumps now, you find that we have quite a significant increase in the population of people who go there. With figures like this NBS statistics that food inflation is now 33.4%, with food costs over 40%.
As I told you, these are facts. These are not sentiments. These are not speeches we are making to impress or not impress anybody, except the person is not domiciled in Nigeria. Even if the person is not domiciled in Nigeria, the person must have one or two relations or friends who are still in Nigeria. Just to corroborate what you said about the refuse dumps, I'm a dog trainer. I love training dogs. I started training dogs from when I was about 11, 12. I hardly stay without a dog, because I believe that leftover food should not be thrown away. You should get pets and amongst. I used to go to some fast food joints, to buy leftover foods. They sell them in pound weight. I think the last time I bought was 400 naira or so per pound weight. But I can tell you now. Now you go almost around the whole city, asking to get this remnant from the fast food joints. They are not there. The last set I got were just bones. They extract flesh from the animals, either chicken or goat, before they prepare them. Those were the last set I could get. So the remnants are not even anymore there. So even those who say go to the refuse dumps to pick, I can tell you, they are not picking anything edible. They're just picking those scraps to go sell, get little money, go buy food. You can't find remnants anymore in dump sites.
Prof, wow, quite gory and scary picture you're painting, but this seems to be our reality. But let's shift back to what played out in the court, because the trial judge remanded 9 of those protesters. 10. 9 of them were at Kuje, while the only female one was moved to Suleja prisons. And I was listening to the counsel for the Inspector General of Police, Simon Law, SAN, and he was, in fact, he established a nexus between the NLC chairman's invitation to the police and this Briton that is, well, he says he's not on the run. The police says he's on the run. He only says that his visa expired and he went back to the UK where he's domiciled. And the authority for the counsel for the IGP was brandishing the books that he sells and said he was a very extremely dangerous element who has sown dissent across several, including Sudan, and that he's established sleeper cells and very dangerous individual. But when I listened to Deji Adeyaju, the defense lawyer, he was trying not to be sub judice, but he was wondering how it was that dangerous elements, people who had been called terrorists and proven to be terrorists, but have been released on political grounds, seem to have their freedom, while people who only protested, carried out their constitutional right of protesting and expressing themselves within the law, have found themselves remanded in maximum security facilities. Prof, are you there? Yes.
Okay. Well, it's self-explanatory. Now, as an individual and as a professional, I have a creed. That creed says, and it's a popular one, I will defend your right to say a thing, even if it is against my own opinion. The only challenge I will have with you is if you don't allow superior opinion to hold sway. That's what I have for them. But the right to express dissent is sacrosanct. It's part of our human rights. As Fela would say, it's not a right that was given to us by man. It's not a right that will be allowed for us to enjoy by man. Without your fundamental rights, you are not higher than the animals. You are not higher than the chain, the dog I chained just at my backyard and put in the cage. That's what distinguishes us from other animals. Now, I haven't stated that. It is quite a sad comment to note that a people who rode partly on the back of protests to attain the positions they now occupy have suddenly decided to demonize the process upon which they rose to power. It tells us so much about the dramatists personnel, not about the system per se, because we should always try to differentiate a system from the dramatists personnel that is currently running the system. If while you were in Lagos, you join hands with others and said this cannot be, this government has to rescind on a particular decision, no harassment. You even used it as campaign slogan for a long time. Buhari came in, now you are in. And suddenly, you say Nigerians have no right to say we are hungry. Excuse me, where are we going to? Where will this lead us to? And one unfortunate aspect of governance in Nigeria is that most people who are in power refuse to understand that even opposition has a great role to play in governance. Opposition makes you to sit up to your responsibilities. Opposition dare tell you what sycophants and friends of the office will never tell you. I'm sure you've heard about that concept before, friends of the office. No. There are those who are permanent residents of government houses. So whoever occupies that seat is dispensable. It's like, go ask what's happening to El-Rufai today. Go ask even what's happening to Wike today. I'll tell you that most of the phone calls they receive almost every day, most of the messages they receive every second, they no longer receive them once they're out of that power. So these people are called the friends of the office. Their permanent interest is themselves and what they can always extract from the seat of power. And I can tell you, most of this misrule that we record in this country are a result of the perpetuating activities of these friends of the office. They are always there to ensure that the status quo ante is preserved. So, taking these young people to court and slamming on them the charge of treasonable felony, and that one young man, a UK citizen who has been in and out of Nigeria for the past 25 years, whose activities you never brought to the fore before now, has the intention of toppling a democratically elected government in Nigeria. I think at times some of us think we're in a dream condition. We should be woken up to really remind us that this is happening in our own lifetime. In our lifetime, where we think that knowledge has surpassed any other generation, that by the click of the button in some other places, every other thing you need is available. I've done even a paper on our so-called Freedom of Information Act. Do you know that you have many more things in that act that limits you from having information than even the ones that permit you to have information? Why do we turn things upside down in this country? Why can't we really copy hook, line, and sinker the democracy that we say we've copied from some other places? The last time I saw people gathered at the UK with placards, some were even setting ablaze, which is not proper, police vehicles. I saw it. I watched live for this. And there was no single soul that was lost. You could see citizens throwing pebbles at police officers. They even getting injured in the spur of the moment. But the best they did was the ones that could get, they arrest them and then you think them. But here you are saying that people who say they are hungry, people who say we've never seen the price of fuel, PMS, go as high as 1,000 per liter, and even you have to queue to get it. People who say we've never bought bread at 2,200 naira as I bought yesterday. People who say they've never bought a pair of tires. For my Corolla vehicle, the other time, a pair of tires, 140,000. For the Titan, a pair of tires, the least grade, 210,000. And these are things to go before now, at the snap of the finger, 10,000, 18,000. But you are now saying that such people should not by any means enforce sections 33 to 44 of the Constitution of the same Federal Republic of Nigeria, one of which is a right to free assembly, one of which is a right to own and publicize your own belief as long as it does not encroach on another person's right. I'm not talking about the criminal elements. No. I will not talk about those who go and loot shops, set cars ablaze. No. For me, it's a zero tolerance for that. But to say masterminds of those who say no to bad governance, for goodness sake, the effect of bad governance does not select an each victim. Everybody is a victim. The effect of producing quack or half-baked medical doctors does not select its victim. The next victim can be even the person who released the half-baked doctors.
Professor, I'm wondering, what does the government, those who are pushing this line to make dissent look criminal, what really are they aiming at? Because to my mind, you mentioned while in your opening conversation, it's as if you're beating a child and asking a child not to cry. And I'm wondering, that's not humanly possible. What did they really hope to achieve by appearing, very menacingly with regards to those they've arrested for protesting? Or is it to show their inadequacy? Is it in their trying to posture? What's behind this?
No, it's a simple logic. It's a simple logic. It is the logic derived from the performances of the Cobra. What the Cobra does is to put you in a state of confusion, to put you in a state of fear, and if it has an opportunity, it strikes at you so that all others around will run away. That is the spirit of the Cobra. What they intend to achieve is to cow the Nigerian populace. They already cowed Nigerian populace. The Nigerian populace are already cowed. That's why they say Nigerians are among the most patient people in the whole world. They are suffering, but they are smiling. But I think those who are doing this thing want to take it to the extreme, to perpetually make Nigerians docile.
But isn't that dangerous? Because everything on earth has a limit. Everything has a melting point. Because when you look at some of the things playing out in other countries that has led to a total collapse of the system, what they will call a revolution, it's not even close to 10% of what Nigerians have faced. And when you continue to push people, particularly through your policy choices and some of the expressions of power by power holders and political players, it seems as if it's just a matter of time. Are you afraid of something like that breaking out of Nigeria?
No. As a researcher in this area, I can tell you for free that what happened in Tunisia 2011 and spread around the whole Middle East up to Egypt and others, it cannot happen in Nigeria.
Why do you say so?
I'll tell you. I'm not just a pessimist, but I'm speaking from the point of data. You see, what the political allies have succeeded in doing is to perpetually divide Nigerians along a number of lines, ethnic lines, religious lines, even at times gender lines. As long as those two factors are there, in fact, add regional lines too. Terrible. They have succeeded in doing it. That once you catch a Nigerian politician in the very act, the Bible says she was caught in the very act of adultery. the next thing you hear is they have caught him or her, and they are doing this because he or she is from our place. And once you get to that point, the average Nigerian has dropped the cap of reason. He has dropped it. He has worn another toga. The toga is that of the ethnic man who must protect, by all means, his or her ethnic man or woman, whether right or wrong. And you see, this does not permeate only the political realm. It's everywhere now in Nigeria. In fact, some of us are almost victims of it in the academia. That when we say we want to see things from the prism of knowledge, they say, excuse me, where are you from? Are you even trying to be against your own people? Come on.
But Prof, I'm beginning to see that that argument that hunger is a unifier. You pointed it out. Diseases and hunger does not look at people based on the complexion of their skin or what language they speak. Don't you see a situation where if we continue spiraling down this route, there's a possibility of a unified Nigeria coming out to resist the tyranny of political mismanagement and what's been playing out across board?
Sorry to disappoint you. From me, we hear a yes answer. The answer is still no, because when hunger becomes a unifying factor, segments of these allies will gather segments of their people and give them a quarter bag of rice. They will give them 10 cups of beans each. They will give them 5,000 naira. In fact, they will even bring out a policy of money transfer. So, by the time the people get those peanuts, the crowd is fast. In fact, the next thing we hear is that is our man. On his mandate, we shall stand. Look, these people have perfected this system, and it is working out for them. The only thing that can redeem the Nigerian situation, some of us have preached it over and over and over again, is what I refer to as a development of a national consciousness. Once we can have a national consciousness where in Asaba, one is known as one. Damaturu, that same one is known as what? One. And Port Harcourt, one. Uyo, one. Calabar, one. Once we get there, forget about the rest. The people will speak as one. And you remember what happened in the Tower of Babel? If you're a Bible scholar, let me take you from politics now to Bible, because Bible even has, politics has its origin from Bible. So people don't know that. Just start out their language, let them speak with different voices, and the tower comes down. That's what the politicians have done. That's what they're doing, and that's what they continue to do. So you mobilize some people, end bad governance, they mobilize another set, stop end bad governance. So the two forces will clash, and most times the police forces will be on the side that is supported by the ruling elite.
They would even have police escorts and will be bussed to the venue.
I'm telling you, they will have publicity even more than the legitimate ones. So,
Prof, you've raised some very salient issues, because sometimes when we have conversations like this, it becomes sometimes it looks depressing, because it seems almost impossible to catch 22. How do we get out of here? Now, you've raised the issue of...
How do we get out of here is quo vadis in Latin.
Exactly. Now, you've raised the issue of a national consciousness. One of the agencies that should help facilitate a national consciousness is the educational system. Another, of course, would be the media. There are many other agencies. But when you look at the educational sector, as it were, ASU only last week had raised issues with the federal government. Of course, they were looking at the implementation of 2009 agreement and perhaps a review. And you look at the state of the Nigerian educational sector. Isn't it the point that perhaps the reason why the educational sector has been allowed to erode to the state it is now is to continue to perpetuate this kind of environment where a unified mindset, national consciousness, like you put it, cannot exist?
Well, you're speaking the obvious. Definitely, one way to perpetuate slavery, one way to perpetuate the class structure is to deny the people of genuine education. I'm not just talking about the routine education that we offer in Nigeria. Genuine education. Because what is the essence of education? Education is a liberator of the mind. You know, education releases you into the spiritual intellectual atmosphere that is not attainable by the uninitiated. That's what education does. So that education makes you to begin to see things from another perspective, what we refer to as a superior perspective. You know, education makes you to become visionary. You know, you see beyond what others can see. So what do? The best way is destroy that sector. Once you can destroy that sector, you have permanently kept them subservient. And whatever you serve them will be okay by them. This didn't start today, I can tell you the truth. If we don't have the time, I would have taken it back to the colonial era. The kind of educational system we are giving. The education of our ABC, just interpreters education. They didn't come to give us education of breakthrough, education of innovation. No. They come to give us a scientific education, as we have in some other places now, as you even have in Japan, where children in primary school have already been exposed to mechanical, electrical, and other software production and repair shops. You know, they didn't give us that. They just gave us education where our court messengers will be able to interpret and collect fines from those they want to collect fines from, and then do their business of collecting taxes and revenue from us and boost to boost. This was inherited as a business, and it's still on. You know, when you're talking about 2009 agreements, maybe somebody will say, because I'm a professor, I want to be biased. Do you know how much a professor goes home with at the end of the month after payment of taxes and other things? No professor goes home with 400,000 in any Nigerian federal university. 400,000. 400,000. No professor. It's an insulting career. But for some of us who saw it as a calling, you know, we were not motivated. We are still not motivated by that. Because we know that most times people like us will be remembered more even after we've exited, because our books will keep speaking, our articles will keep speaking. Money does not speak. And that's one thing I try to tell politicians whenever I get close to them. Money does not speak. As soon as you're out of power, as soon as you're dead, your money is gone. But we are intellectual brewers. We are human capacity developers. That is where our joy is. But we are saying, federal government, please just try to take care of the environment so that those who are producing can replicate us. But what do we see today? You park your car, probably a 20 years old Tokumbo car, and a student now parks a GLK 2020 by the side of the car, and he comes into your class. That's what we see now. So, my brother, it's a pitiable situation. But I need to plead to the conscience of the political elite. They are not doing the system well. This whole sham will boomerang on everybody, including themselves. No matter how they take their children abroad. Somebody said, sometime we all still go home.
You know, having this engagement sometimes, here I am, I'm thinking in my mind, I've seen some projections that some other countries have put together for their own countries. have the half of thresholds that they need to achieve by 2030, some 2050. And
2080, 2070.
Even Dubai had one that was 2100. I think Dubai has 2100.
Wow.
And these people have been able to flesh out projections for the future. And they've put things in place, technologically wise, system laws, etc. And they are pushing their cutting-edge educational system into the forefront because there are some things that they just need to achieve. But rather than forming some of these policies to address key questions like, what is the economy going to look like in 2040, say, when the world has shifted somewhat? I know there's still arguments about whether we are going green or not, but the world is beginning to shift away from certain things. What will our economy look like? Is our educational system positioning us for it? Issues like AI, issues like quantum computing, all kinds of things playing out. Where is our educational system in readiness for this? We are looking at situations like curbing the age of entrance into the university at 18. Do you think that those who are making policies for the educational system of Nigeria, is it out of ignorance or incompetence, or it's like you put it, just to continue to maintain this system?
I think to a large extent it belongs to your third category, because don't believe that they are not conscious of what they are doing. It's an act of self-perpetuation. In political science, we refer to it as the iron law of oligarchy, where those who belong to a particular ruling class put in place measures that would lead to their continuous perpetual succession. It's like you and I were just talking now, and that's what they were saying. They said, let the professor be talking his bullshit there. I can tell you that they have already permutated who will be the president in 2027, no matter what you think. So, with regard to what they do to the educational system, they are conscious of it. And the reason is not far-fetched. Most of us are still at the primitive level of accumulation. I say that again. Most of us, irrespective of our educational, political, religious, or whatever attainments, are still battling with primitive culture of accumulation. Just gather it to myself, for my family, and a little to spare for my community, at the expense of the whole nation. Most of us don't think transgenerational. So we have not come out of that cocoon. So I'm only thinking about my armored car jeep now. I'm only thinking about my personal jet. But I forgot that someday comes when I cannot even on my own embark on an armored car jeep. I can't carry my two legs. God giving us life. I have to be assisted. We forget that a time will come when I have to be on wheelchairs. Not because I do not feel like standing up to walk, but by then the forces of nature has begun to remind me that it is time to go back home. And the way we came, that's the way we go back. I forget that. I forget that even the 4-story building I've put up in my village, if I have one, very soon I can't even climb the first floor anymore. I will descend from the master bedroom and even the penthouse. Nigerian build houses and the penthouse. So we even call it prayer tower. We stolen money. You build a house, money you stole at the expense of people. And you say one place there is for prayer. Prayer to who? Prayer to who? But one day you can't go there anymore. Your limbs are already weak. You have now moved downstairs. And most times it is those that they bring around to take care of you that now enjoy the master bedroom. So this is it. Once we overcome that mindset of primitive accumulation, we will think AI, we will think 2030, 2040, 2050. We will invest so that the generation coming after us will make life easier and better for us before we depart and for themselves. But for now, my brother, every man is just interested in what is going into his account. Every man is interested in how many cars he has parked at the car lodge. You know, some people have up to 40 cars, some 30, some 20, some 10. But some people don't have bicycle in the same community. And you think it will think AI? No, we'll never think AI. We'll think of how we'll increase our pocket. But we hope that a generation will come someday that will say this shit is enough. This house is not working. Let's rebuild it and get a house that can be called a house where everyone will be welcome and everyone will sit when it is time. See, I'm a professor. I'm looking forward to my exits as quickly as possible. Fortunately, I still have about 15 years. God give me life. But I'm thinking I should go so that these people we have trained can come and continue. They continue what I'm doing now. In the next 15 years, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be playing around my village home and being an elder, talking to younger ones, talking to my grandchildren. That's my prayer. I don't want to die in office. But Prof, there are many that don't want to leave that place.
We've seen a situation where already the political parties are beginning to talk about 2027.
Yeah.
And, well, we've seen the PDP, the Labour Party, and the NNPP seemingly having some discussion with regards to what they say is an attempt to salvage the country from the rule of the APC. Some are beginning to say perhaps former President Goodluck Jonathan should be put forward to make another attempt at presidency. What do you see with all of the political movements, you know, on one hand, with many of them being former players, some of them are actually equally responsible for where we are, and then on the other hand, this clamor to get Goodluck Jonathan back into power?
Yeah, politicians have a right to group, regroup, align, realign. We're all in the same box. When I talked about the island of oligarchy, did I exclude any of them? They're all involved. When the closing years of PDP under Jonathan, they said as soon as these other people come, Nigeria will become the best place. What has happened? Who is PDP? Who is APC? Who is Labour Party? Who is NNDP? Are they not of the same stock? They have just repositioned themselves in different places so that in case the pendulum swings the other way, they go for it. Look, the politicians are like lawyers, with due respect. You see lawyers arguing the court, and in fact, at some point, if they are given opportunity, they could exchange fisticuffs. What are they trying to do? They are trying to argue cases and to win cases. But when they get to the changing room, you know what they ask each other? How much did they pay you? The same thing with our brothers, the politicians. So I'm not interested. They can remove if they want to, but I can tell you that I've not seen the new crop of politicians that will be able to pull Nigeria from where Nigeria is for now, with due respect. I don't want to go mention names of parties. I'm not interested. When we see a new group that can indeed salvage, you know, what we call clean the organs table to a stage where we all can be proud of this nation once again. We'll know that. For now, for goodness sake, my brother, I'm not interested in those who are just trying to grab power for the sake of grabbing power, or for the sake of using it to harm other people, and for the sake of making one ethnic group or one region to suffer what they think they have suffered. No, I'm not interested in that. I'm looking forward to an altruistic, motivated group. That when we see them, we know that these ones are genuine. These ones will not think regional, they will not think ethnic, they will not think religious. They will think Nigeria. Just as when you wake up a boy, an American boy, even if he's 5 years old, and you tap him and he say, "Hey, how are you? What's your name?" "Sam Johnson Wood." "Hey, who are you?" I'm an American. "God bless America." That's it. But wake up a 15 years old boy, 20 years old boy who has slept all his life in one shop in a rare market, and you ask him, "Who are you?" I say, "I'm Okoro Wantan." "Well, who are you?" I say, "You don't hear my name? Abi original Biafra." Why? All he has known all his life is inside one shop serving one master, because you have denied him, you have deprived him, and you are asking him to mention one name. You probe him until, "Oh, okay, we didn't say Nigeria for now." That's it. This is the Nigeria that our politicians have recruited to us, not the Nigeria that our parents gave to us. The Nigerian where people like us were ready to join the military. The Nigerian where people like us went to Kano for youth service. Nobody today were going to lose our lives. I served in Kano, and I was treated as a Nigerian in Kano. I was treated with love in Kano. But less than a decade after my service here, what has happened? When your child is even going to Taraba, you put your heart in your hand and hold it, say, "God, let him go and come back safely." This is what the politicians have caused us. So when we see a group of Nigerians who are ready to take us on a different pedestal, we shall know them. For now, my brother, let them go. But I want to advise our brother Jonathan, you should not be deceived. That's just what I'll tell you.
Wow, very deep issues you've raised for consideration. The following up to that, again, we've had this question has been asked in different manners almost all the time. We've had people who are saying, okay, perhaps regionalism would be a solution. Perhaps it's a change of, you said a new crop of people. But I think Emeka Yaku was the one who said that even if an angel was to inherit this current structure, he would fail. And this move, quite a number of people are clamoring. The 2014 Confab report should be implemented. The answer is a report should be implemented. This government has come out to say that they are planning to implement it, but the time is not yet right. Do you trust them to implement the NSRA report?
They have already told you they will not implement it. When somebody says the time is not right, what does that mean? It's procrastination. If somebody is serious about the thing, it doesn't talk about time anymore. If you see a good book, do you say you will read the book tomorrow? You don't start reading the book. You want to consume it because you are quite sure that what is inside the book is worth your time. So that's the point. But to say it's not your time, when is the time? They want to use it as a campaign factor to say now that we've consolidated during our first regime, we want a second tenure so that we can. So I don't believe in such promises. I don't take such promises to the bank because you will discover that there's nothing in the account of the person who has given you such a check. So if they're interested in implementing the contents of the 2014, they should go ahead and do it well. I hope you know 2014, even the amnesty thing was just extracted from there. They let them material report another stuff. There are quite a number of things we hear are contained in that 2014 report.
Prof, just hold on, because I'm looking at it now, not just from the point of view of the president, the executive now. I'm also looking at it from the point of view of the legislature. Because when you see the haste with which they passed the national anthem and made it operational, the old one that became the current one, and when you look at their approach to say, perhaps this presidential jet, which the Senate has come out to say that the executive is yet to present a bill, that's a conversation for another day, totally different conversation. We'll have that conversation again at some point. But when you look at the National Assembly, and then you look at the proposal of the Patriot led by Chief Emeka Yaku, who is saying, look, let's do this with as fast as possible, and then call for some kind of referendum and give ourselves a new constitution. Is it something that this government will do, or do they need to some kind of a public outcry or push to force their hand?
Yeah, this is a tricky one. I can tell you that it will be very difficult, if not impossible, to make beneficiaries of a rogue building be the ones to demolish the building. Maybe I should put that. It will be a difficult, if not an impossible task to expect not just the beneficiaries but the occupants of a rogue building will be the ones to demolish it. Rather, they will fortify the defenses the more to ensure that nothing happens to the building. You know, they can just fool us with their rhetorics of, yeah, we will do this, we will do that, but give us some time. But they know they will not do it. How many bills have really died in the National Assembly that are supposed to bring Nigeria out of the doldrums? Very few, so many. As long as they will not benefit from it, I can assure you again. And Mekayoko and others can say whatever they want to say. How such visions, how such projections and permutations and suggestions will be implemented is left to Nigerians. It's not left to the politicians. For your information, these are less than 0.05% of the population determining the fate of all Nigerians. So I don't think they are listening to Mekayoko and all that. They will not talk about the journalism. They will not talk about the structure. These people talk about the structure before they tell me. What have they done about the structure? So let them just go ahead with their rhetorics. We'll be looking at them. The National Assembly is another kettle of fish. I don't want to go there. We're not distracted. When we have a genuine people-oriented National Assembly, we will know. But for now, it's just to a large extent a rubber stamp that it has always been, apart from when some radical Senate presidents were there and they did everything possible to remove them from that seat. Yeah.
Prof, before I let you go, I have a few seconds actually. I'm feeling almost depressed, so give me something good to end this program on. What you've said all day has really been depressing, because I can't seem to find a way out, and I'm wondering, my viewer is also feeling that same way. What can we look at as some measure of hope in the coming days?
Well, what we'll look at is simple. Nigerians should not just keep their hands folded and keep quiet. There's a popular slogan that the evil men rule where good men do nothing. Good Nigerians should volunteer themselves for political positions. It may be difficult at initial, but finally they will find their way in. I can tell you the National Assembly, even the executive, you still have a few, but they are too minute to make the difference. We need Nigerians to be more interested in the political atmosphere of our country. We need not just educated but altruistic-minded Nigerians to also come out. We need Nigerians to be their neighbors' keepers. They should be interested in what happens to Nigeria, not just to themselves. Once we can do, also above all, we need to have the fear of God and to know that at the end of the day, we all go home and we go down 6 feet below the earth. Once we can do this, once the consciousness of the masses go beyond the ethnic man, the regional man, and the religious man, I can tell you that what we desire will come of its own naturally, without even any bloodshed. That's my belief.
Wow. Professor Robert Dode, PhD, he's Professor of Political Science and Strategic Studies and Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academics, Dennis Osadebe University, Asaba Delta State. Thank you for being on Political Spectrum today.
Thank you. God bless Nigeria.
Amen. God bless Nigeria. And that's how far we can take it today. Of course, tomorrow we'll continue to have this prism on what's playing out across the political landscape of Nigeria. But from us, it's goodbye, and if you can, be sure to stay on to watch the rest of our program. Thank you for being on our program today.